What would you do if the very person you trusted most, the one you brought into your company like family, turned out to be the one slowly destroying from within? A billionaire CEO learned too late that his greatest strength, his loyalty, had become his deadliest weakness. Backhand index pointing right before we dive fully into this story. Let us know in the comments where you're watching from, and make sure to subscribe to Bite Crimes. Your support is what keeps us going, bringing you chilling, educational stories about cybercrime and betrayal in the digital age. Now, sit back, relax, and let's begin. In the heart of Silicon Valley stood Jonathan Hale, a self-made billionaire. Unlike many in his circle, Jonathan wasn't a cutthroat type. His story was one of hard work, vision, and a stubborn belief that people deserve second chances. Raised by a single mother in Ohio, Jonathan worked his way through community college before founding Helios Technologies, a cybersecurity company that grew into one of the world's most trusted digital fortresses. Ironically, it was the very walls of this fortress that would later be breached, not by rivals, not by foreign hackers, but by someone Jonathan himself had welcomed in. Jonathan was respected not just for his wealth, but for his loyalty. Old friends said he never forgot where he came from. And so, when his childhood friend Marcus Denton reached out with a desperate plea, Jonathan didn't hesitate. Marcus's son, Ethan, was struggling, fresh out of college with no clear direction. He had already bounced between jobs and was in danger of slipping into a dangerous lifestyle. Marcus, with worry lining his face, asked Jonathan for help. "Give him a shot," Marcus said. "He just needs someone to believe in him." Jonathan didn't think twice. "Send him over," he said. "At Helios, we take care of our family." Ethan Denton was just 24. On the surface, he was charming, polite, even eager to learn. To Jonathan, he was like the son he never had. Jonathan believed in mentorship. He gave Ethan access not just to entry-level tasks, but also to boardroom meetings, late-night brainstorming sessions, and even private conversations about the company's direction. He wanted to shape him into a leader. But what Jonathan didn't know was that Ethan had already chosen his path, one far darker than anyone could imagine. Behind the polite smiles and "yes, sir" replies, Ethan was secretly connected to a shadowy hacker syndicate known only online as the Black Fangs. To them, Ethan's new position wasn't just a job. It was an infiltration. Their mission? To breach Helios Technologies from the inside. At first, Ethan kept things small. He copied files onto encrypted drives. He noted Jonathan's passwords when the CEO typed too quickly in front of him. He studied the company's security structure, learning where the strengths and, more importantly, the weaknesses lay. Jonathan trusted Ethan so much that he didn't notice the late-night logins from his account or the small discrepancies in project files. Helios was a cybersecurity giant, trusted by banks, governments, and Fortune 500 companies. A single breach could compromise millions of lives. Ethan wasn't just stealing information. He was setting the stage for a disaster that could shake the digital world. One morning, Helios's lead engineer noticed something odd. A server log showing access at 3 a.m., long after the building was empty. The IP address was internal, suggesting it came from someone inside. When asked about it, Jonathan brushed it off. "Probably a glitch. We work hard here, but I trust my people." That trust blinded him. Ethan, emboldened, grew bolder. He started funneling small amounts of proprietary data to the Black Fangs, who paid him in cryptocurrency. His bank account, once empty, began to quietly fill with anonymous transfers. But greed has a way of making criminals sloppy. Helios' cybersecurity team began noticing patterns. Stolen credentials, phantom logins, encrypted traffic flowing to unknown destinations. At first, suspicion fell on an outside attacker. After all, Helios had many enemies, competitors, nation-states, black hat hackers. The idea that the threat was inside their walls seemed unthinkable. Still, Jonathan ordered an internal audit. But even then, his loyalty clouded his judgment. "I know my people," Jonathan said in a meeting. "This company is built on trust. Let's not point fingers at our own." Little did he know, his kindness was shielding the traitor standing right beside him. Jonathan Hale, a man of loyalty, now unknowingly walking into betrayal. Ethan Denton, A young man torn between a chance to rise legitimately and the temptation of quick money and power. Marcus Denton. A father who thought he was saving his son, never realizing he was handing Jonathan the knife that would be driven into his back. And the Black Fangs? They didn't care about loyalty, family, or second chances. To them, Ethan was just a useful pawn in a larger game. By the 6-month mark, Ethan had access to nearly everything. He had earned Jonathan's personal trust so deeply that the CEO often confided in him about upcoming deals and partnerships. And then the hammer fell. One Monday morning, Helios Technologies discovered a massive breach. Confidential contracts, encryption keys, and client data had been stolen. The losses were estimated in the hundreds of millions. Jonathan was devastated, not just financially, but emotionally. Helios wasn't just his company. It was his life's work, his gift to the world. Employees whispered. Clients panicked. The press circled like vultures. Jonathan's empire was crumbling, and he still had no idea that the smiling young man in his office was the very one tightening the noose. The investigation intensified. Federal agents were brought in. Forensic experts combed through the digital wreckage. That's when the shocking truth began to surface. The breach hadn't come from outside. It came from within. The trail of stolen data, the encrypted cryptocurrency wallets, the late-night logins, all pointed inward. And when investigators narrowed down the list of suspects, one name kept reappearing: Ethan Denton. But how could Jonathan believe it? Ethan was like family, Marcus's son. Could it really be true? The evidence was damning, but Jonathan's heart resisted. He couldn't accept that his kindness, his loyalty, had been weaponized against him. Yet the investigators insisted. Mr. Hale, we believe your protege, your friend's son, is the mole who destroyed you. Jonathan felt the world collapse around him. But the story was far from over, because the betrayal wasn't just about stolen data. It was about something much deeper, something darker, and the worst was yet to come. Jonathan Hale sat in his office, blinds drawn, the once bright skyline of Silicon Valley hidden from view. Investigators' words echoed in his mind. Your protege is the mole. For days, he refused to believe it. He told himself there had to be another explanation. Maybe Ethan had been set up. Maybe someone else had stolen his credentials. But deep down, Jonathan knew the truth. The pattern of evidence was undeniable. And still, how could he tell Marcus? How could he face his oldest friend and say, your son betrayed me, and he's about to bring everything down? Federal agents placed Ethan under quiet surveillance. Every keystroke, every encrypted transfer, every suspicious late-night movement was logged. The Black Fangs had coached him well. Ethan thought he was covering his tracks, but investigators were patient hunters. Slowly, piece by piece, they built their case. One chilling discovery sealed it. Ethan had created a backdoor into Helios's core systems, not just to steal data, but to allow the Syndicate access whenever they wanted. This wasn't a one-time theft. It was a long-term infiltration. If it hadn't been caught when it was, entire government databases, military communications, and global corporations could have been exposed. The betrayal wasn't just personal. It was national security. When the investigators confronted Jonathan with this backdoor evidence, his hands trembled. Mr. Hale, if you don't let us act now, your company may never recover, one agent warned. Jonathan stared at the files in silence. He thought about the years he spent building Helios, the loyalty he prided himself on, the belief in second chances. And now, he had to choose between protecting his company or protecting his friend's son. It was a decision that would haunt him forever. While Jonathan wrestled with his conscience, Ethan was living like two different men. By day, he was an eager protege, learning from one of Silicon Valley's most respected CEOs. He smiled in meetings, stayed late at work, and even brought coffee for his colleagues. By night, he was Shade, his alias inside the Black Fangs. He bragged about the millions he'd funneled through crypto mixers, the secrets he'd sold on dark web forums, and the chaos he'd unleashed. The Black Fangs praised him as their golden boy. But what Ethan didn't realize was that to them, he was disposable. The moment he was caught or stopped being useful, they would cut him loose without hesitation. Marcus Denton, meanwhile, had no idea of his son's double life. One evening, Jonathan invited Marcus to his home. His voice was heavy as he spoke. "Marcus, I need to tell you something. It's about Ethan." Marcus chuckled at first. "What? Did he mess up another report? He's young. Give him time." Jonathan shook his head. "It's not that. It's much worse." He handed Marcus a dossier investigators had compiled. The logins, the crypto transfers, the evidence of espionage. Marcus's smile faded. His hands shook as he flipped through the pages. His son, the boy he begged Jonathan to help, had not only betrayed Jonathan, but had betrayed him. "John, this can't be real. He's my son." He wouldn't. But the truth was undeniable. Tears welled in Marcus's eyes. His loyalty had dragged his best friend into ruin. Finally, the FBI made their move. It was a rainy Thursday evening when Ethan walked into Helios headquarters, unaware he was walking into a trap. Jonathan sat waiting in the boardroom, his face pale. "Ethan," Jonathan said softly, "we need to talk." Ethan froze. The tone in Jonathan's voice wasn't that of a mentor. It was that of a man betrayed. Before Ethan could respond, federal agents stepped in. The room filled with the sound of handcuffs snapping shut. "Ethan Denton, you are under arrest for corporate espionage, wire fraud, and conspiracy," the agent declared. Jonathan turned away. He couldn't bear to watch as Ethan, the boy he treated like family, was let out in chains. The news exploded across headlines. Billionaire's protégé exposed as hacker mole. Helios Technologies rocked by insider cybercrime. Clients pulled contracts. Investors panicked. Stocks plummeted overnight. For Jonathan, it wasn't just the money, it was a betrayal. The very values he built his empire on, trust, loyalty, second chances, had been used against him. Employees whispered about how easily the company's heart had been pierced. The public wondered how a cybersecurity giant could fall victim to its own insider. And Marcus? He withdrew from the world, drowning in shame. His plea for his son's future had cost Jonathan everything. Ethan's trial was a spectacle. Prosecutors painted him as a traitor who nearly compromised national security. The defense argued he was manipulated by the Black Fangs, pressured by debts and desperation. But the evidence was overwhelming. The cryptocurrency transfers, the backdoor code, the communications with Syndicate leaders. When Ethan finally stood to speak, his voice cracked. "I never wanted to hurt you, Mr. Hale. I just wanted to be somebody." Jonathan sat in the courtroom, silent, his heart heavier than ever. This wasn't a victory. It was a tragedy. Ethan was sentenced to 25 years in federal prison. The Black Fangs, safe in their anonymity, slipped back into the shadows. The story of Jonathan Hale became a cautionary tale in Silicon Valley and beyond. Cybersecurity wasn't just about firewalls and encryption. The greatest threats weren't always faceless hackers in distant countries. Sometimes they sat across from you in the boardroom. It was a painful reminder that trust, once broken, could never be fully repaired. Jonathan rebuilt Helios in time, but he was never the same. His belief in second chances dimmed. His loyalty hardened into caution. For Marcus, the guilt never faded. And for Ethan, prison bars became the price of betrayal. So, what do we take away from this story? That cybercrime isn't just about stolen data or money. It's about human choices, greed, trust, betrayal, and the cost of ignoring red flags. A CEO's kindness became the weapon that brought him down. A son's desperation became the shame of his family. And a hacker syndicate proved once again that in the digital age, loyalty is a currency too often exploited. Thank you for staying with us until the end of this story. If this case shook you as much as it shook us, let us know your thoughts in the comments below. And most importantly, like this video, share it, and subscribe to Bite Crimes. Because it's your support that motivates us to keep bringing you chilling, educational, and eye-opening stories about the hidden world of cybercrime. Until next time, stay safe online.